Arsenal's title charge is on the line, dropping points in back-to-back games. With Man City closing in, Mikel Arteta has a problem. So today let's find out, what's the Arsenal solution? Can we still win the title? We'll also get a massive update on the fitness of William Saliba, get the latest news on Alexander Zinchenko, and find out why Declan Rice was spotted with Martin Odegaard. Yo, what is going on guys? My name is Babs14, welcome back to your boys channel. It has been a testing few days as Arsenal fans, and we have got a lot to break down, so as per, smash a like on the video if you enjoy, subscribe to the channel if you are new, and help your boy on his road to 200,000 subscribers. But starting off with Mikel Arteta's problem. Following Man City's victory against Leicester City, Erling Haaland being the robot that he is, Arsenal had a chance to respond against West Ham United, and in the first 10 minutes, we were flying. The football that Arsenal were playing was sensational. As David Moyes says, when we went 2-0 down, I have to say I thought, my goodness. But as we know by now, the Premier League title race is never easy, and life as an Arsenal fan is never simple. After a Thomas Partey mistake, a Gabriel penalty, and after Gerard Bowen scored to make it 2-2, Arsenal have now dropped points in back-to-back games. 4 points dropped for winning positions. That is the same amount of points that Arsenal had dropped in the last 8 months combined. Just like at Anfield, when Arsenal conceded, they lost all sense of composure and control. But as the XG shows, Arsenal deserved to win the game. West Ham 1.82, Arsenal 2.86. But the key part is how much of that came before the first goal. Arsenal created 1.63 non-penalty XG in the first 10 minutes of the game, whereas only 0.46 after. Arsenal took their foot off the pedal, and that's what proved costly. They started to play at 2-0 like it was 4-0. They were arrogant and they were cocky. Thomas Partey trying to flick it over Declan Rice was a massive error, and Arsenal seemed to have a tendency of not being as good after scoring. This graphic here sums it up. When it comes to Arsenal during losing game states, Arsenal are par alongside Man City. Even in terms of drawing, Arsenal are the second best in the league. But when it comes to winning positions, Arsenal have a massive drop-off. That ability to kill games off is something Man City have, and Arsenal right now don't. Look at the field tilt in the first 30 minutes. Arsenal on fire, Arsenal in control. But we gave West Ham a route back into the game, and then they took over. And yes, towards the end of the game, Arsenal got control back. But it was too little too late. In a game that Arsenal were flying, 2 points had been dropped. Just want to give a shout out to a brand new brand powering this video, HelloFresh. You guys are busy people, I understand that. All are focused on Arsenal's title charge. Food shopping can be difficult, and that's where HelloFresh is a game changer. These guys will send you a box every week full of tasty food that you can make in just 20 minutes, and all you need to do is simply head over to their website, hellofresh.co.uk/Babs, and then you have a choice to make of a range of 100 different meals tailored to whatever you need. These guys have got you covered, and once you've made a choice, a box will be delivered straight to your door every week. Inside will contain step-by-step recipes which are super easy to follow, and if you're quick, you can get a massive discount all because of your boy. HelloFresh are offering 60% off your first box, 25% off the next 2 months, and some free gifts. And all you need to do is click the link down below in the description or scan the QR code on screen right now and simply use the code BAVS. A sensational offer that ends at the end of this month, so make sure you're quick. The Arsenal players are now getting questioned. Are they bottling the title? I think Jamie Carragher sums it up perfectly. This idea that Arsenal have bottled the nerve, I think it's completely the opposite. The problem that Arsenal have had is they've got complacent and they've got cocky. If Arsenal were nervous, they would have not flown up 2-0 against Liverpool and against West Ham, played that level of football and showed that level of composure. The issues in both of those games were that Arsenal lost concentration. The players may have gotten a bit too overconfident, and this game, Thomas Partey's mistake was a prime example. West Ham are trying to press Arsenal, in comes Declan Rice, and instead of Partey keeping it simple, he tries to flick it over the West Ham man, he loses the ball, Gabriel is forced to make a foul. This was definitely Partey's worst performance of the season. A 6.1 rating with 40 passes completed, 2 out of 5 long balls, 0 successful dribbles, and only 2 out of 7 ground balls. Thomas Partey in this game was unreliable on the ball. Without Alexander Zinchenko and William Saliba, Thomas Partey was in charge of the Arsenal build-up, and as great as he can be on the ball, he isn't as consistent or as reliable as the other two players. And while his passing range at times can be fantastic, sometimes he tries to force it, he becomes too aggressive, instead of keeping it simple and helping Arsenal control and slow the game down. It seems like in these last 2 games, the Arsenal players became a bit overconfident. 2-0 up at Anfield, 2-0 up at West Ham. Maybe they started to believe in the hype. Mikel Arteta is definitely aware of this problem, and you can even see it in the last game in the 25th minute. Arteta on the sideline seems to notice the complacency, and you can hear him yell, "Speed, speed, go," because he understands that in the Premier League, every team has a chance away from home, and in this game, Arsenal were their worst enemies. points. But even at 2-1, we get a penalty and Bukayo Saka has a chance to kill the game and collect the 3 points. But it wasn't meant to be, it flew past the post. It was a painful penalty. But as Bukayo Saka says, regardless of the outcome, I'll always accept my responsibility. Apologies Gunners, I will do everything I can to make it right. The second time he's missed a penalty in his career, of course the last one was in the Euros final. This guy has been through hardship in the past. He knows what it takes to learn and improve. The type of character that he is, he'll only become stronger from this moment. The real issue that Mikel Arteta has is definitely in the defence. Arsenal have now conceded 19.4% of their goals in the Premier League this season in their last 4 games alone. In those 4 games, no William Saliba, in has Comrop Holding. And in this game, he was poor. A 6.5 rating and 5 clearances, 2 block shots, 1 time dribbled past, 0 out of 2 ground duels, and 0 out of 3 in the air. He may not make any obvious errors, but with him in the team, Arsenal have to play different. Arsenal play a deeper line with Rob Holding. We can't squeeze the pitch like we can with Saliba and Gabriel. And that's why Arsenal can't control games as much, sustain the pressure. The effect is also seen in the build-up phase. Holding is decent, but he's no William Saliba, whose passing numbers are far better. That has put more impetus on Thomas Partey, and then it becomes a game of long balls where Arsenal just don't excel. With no Zinchenko and no Saliba, Arsenal are nowhere near as good as getting the ball into the final third. It's why Gabriel Jesus was sometimes dropping a right back. What is happening with Alexander Zinchenko? Well, in this game he was absent after picking up a groin injury against Liverpool. It's not thought to be serious, but the club chose to protect him. Tierney is a very good fullback, but he's not an inverted fullback anywhere near the level of Zinchenko. He's not got that same level of composure in between the lines, and that is why Zinchenko has started for Arteta so much. Without him, Partey looked lost, but Arsenal fans shouldn't worry too much, as according to Sam Dean, Zinchenko is very much expected to be fit to face Southampton on Friday. But what about William Saliba? How far is he from making a return? Well, here he was seen alongside Arsenal midfielder Mohamed El Neni, who's out for the rest of the season, training on the bikes in the gym. Saliba is still not back in full training. Arsenal continue to monitor him on a day-by-day basis. Back injuries are very serious, they can be hard to manage. But in terms of Saliba's return, we've got a massive update from Sammy Mokbel of the Daily Mail, who says that William Saliba is ready to put his body on the line to play in Arsenal's title running despite concerns over injury complications if he's rushed back. Saliba is set to be determined to prove his fitness, particularly for the potential title decider at the Etihad Stadium, despite the consequences of a flare-up. You've got to love William Saliba and his desire to play for Arsenal Football Club. He knows how close Arsenal are to winning a title, and he is willing to risk it all, put his body on the line. Mikel Arteta has built an Arsenal team full of players that actively want to play for the club. But we also have to understand, is it worth the risk? Arsenal have built a team not just to compete for this year. We have to also look to the future. If we were to bring Saliba back, there would always be a risk of a further worse injury that could see him out for a longer period of time. The Arsenal physios now have a massive choice to make. I think for Arsenal, the game of the Etihad is all or nothing. What do you guys think Arsenal need to do? Bring Saliba back early and risk potential injury, or let him fully recover and potentially miss the rest of the season? If Saliba isn't available though, Mikel Arteta needs to find different solutions, and one could be playing Thomas Partey at right back, moving Ben White to centre back, and playing Jorginho in midfield. We've seen Mikel Arteta try this, especially in the game against Crystal Palace. Let's see what Mikel Arteta does against Southampton. And then you have Man City. With Phil Foden returning, these guys have an entire squad available with 0 injuries. I've always believed that Arsenal do have the team to go and win a title, but I've always questioned our squad depth. The first team is near complete. The next step is having the elite squad depth. The title race now is definitely getting interesting. Before the Arsenal game, Man City played, and they beat Leicester 3-1. Stones with a banger and a Haaland brace. They were flying, but defensively, they weren't perfect. And as the XG shows, Man City's 2.09 to Leicester's 2.27. As great as Man City are, they aren't perfect. And the idea that they are going to win every game until the end of the season, I think people are going over the top. Here's how the table now looks. Arsenal remain top on 74 points, but now only 4 points ahead of Man City, who also have a game in hand. As disappointing as the last 2 games have been, at the same time as Arsenal fans, we can't give up now. Arsenal are still technically in control of their destiny. And here's the games they have left. Southampton at home, Man City away, Chelsea at home, Newcastle away, Brighton at home, Nottingham Forest away, and finally Wolves at home. But the game that stands out is definitely Man City versus Arsenal, next Wednesday at the Etihad Stadium, where Man City have only lost 1 time all season, and that was to Brentford. But here's the Arsenal perspective. We are still top of the Premier League, and if we win all of our games, or draw the Etihad and win the other 6, we will be champions. City still have 8 games to play, and they have not yet won them. The whole point of Arsenal having a lead was it allowed Arsenal to have a margin for error. That game at the Etihad is going to be decisive. And as Gary Neville says, Sir Alex Ferguson always used to say, if you have to win 1 game to win the league, would you take it? The answer was always yes. If Arsenal win at the Etihad, they will win the league. It's something to be excited about. not pressure. To win your first title in 20 years was never going to be smooth sailing. There was always going to be something going against us. But if Arsenal were able to learn from the games against West Ham and Liverpool, replicate their first 30 minutes in both of those games, this team has the quality. Now it's all about the mentality. Moving on to the other Arsenal news, and starting off with an Arsenal player out of contract at the end of the season. He has been our game changer. He scored the winner against Bournemouth. Reiss Nelson is the name, and according to Sammy Mockbell, Arsenal have offered Reiss Nelson a new contract, understood to be an increase on his current deal, which is believed to be worth in the region of £35,000 per week. However, an agreement has not been reached, leaving doubts over his long-term future. Arsenal want to keep Reiss Nelson. The player in the past has admitted he wants to stay at the Emirates Stadium. He's come through the academies Arsenal through and through, but he also has a lot of options. And according to Sammy Mockbell, Aston Villa, Fulham, West Ham and Brighton are among the teams interested in taking Reiss Nelson on a free transfer ahead of next season. There's also interest from Europe, with AC Milan also monitoring his situation. Nelson loves Arsenal, but he also wants to be a starter. And when you've got Gabriel Martinelli and Bukayo Saka, at Arsenal that's not going to be a guarantee. For Arsenal he can be a very important squad player, but the opportunity to be a starter elsewhere, at this stage of his career, I can definitely see why it appeals to him. If Reiss Nelson was to leave, Arsenal would definitely want to sign a wide forward, and that's where you might have Crystal Palace's Wilfried Zaha. According to Simon Jones of the Mail, Marseille are the latest club to express a desire to sign Wilfried Zaha when he becomes a free agent this summer. The player wants to test himself in the Champions League, while Arsenal also remain in the frame. With his level of Premier League experience and seeing the impact of Trossard and Jorginho, despite him now being 30, he can definitely have an impact. And next year in the Champions League, Arsenal need to have elite squad depth. Zaha is definitely an opportunity, but there have been some concerns, especially about his attitude and how that work alongside Mikel Arteta. But what about one of our main targets in Declan Rice, one of West Ham's star players against Arsenal? Here he was seen after the game alongside the Arsenal captain Martin Odegaard, who was seen signing an Arsenal shirt for Declan Rice. Now Rice is a massive shirt collector, and he was very keen to get an Arsenal shirt on his wall. This adds fuel to the fire. Arsenal of course want to sign Rice, and it seems like the player is open to a move. And in this game against Arsenal, what we saw was his ability to win the ball back. Rice is only behind Rodri in terms of possession won, ahead of the likes of Thomas Partey and even William Saliba. Mikel Arteta loves to win duels. We've seen the Amazon Prime documentary. Entering phase 4 for Arsenal is all about gaining more control and being even more dominant, and Rice's profile suits that to a T. But there's also another player who plays for Brighton, and that of course is Moses Caicedo, who put in a fantastic performance against Chelsea. 100% aerial duels won, 92% passing accuracy, 91 touches, 65 passes, 11 duels won, 9 times possession won, 8 tackles made, 7 passes into the final third, and 3 times possession won in the final third. This guy wins his duels, he's secure on the ball, and in the Premier League he's the only player that ranks in the top 5 for each of the following stats: 4th in terms of duels won, 2nd in terms of tackles made, and 5th in terms of interceptions. He can play as a number 6 and as a number 8, and there is no denying his profile is very similar to Declan Rice. Arsenal seem to have interest in both players, but comment down below, out of Rice and Caicedo, who would you prefer to sign? Now let's talk about this video here of a young Arsenal mascot getting an Arsenal shirt signed before the game against West Ham. All the Arsenal players are seen signing a shirt, but social media has made this a massive deal, as no Arsenal player seems to smile or say hello. This for me has been blown way out of proportion. I can understand that it's not ideal, but the context is also important. This is the Arsenal players locked in focus before a game, before one of their biggest games of the season, in the midst of a title race. The father of a mascot has spoken, who says, "My daughter had a lovely time as a mascot for Arsenal. There was only a small window to meet the players and she enjoyed it very much. Odegaard is her favourite player, so to hold his hand onto the pitch was very special. Arsenal have been so good on the pitch, the rival fans now have no choice but to find little holes, and they have taken this way over the top." The father even says, "Thanks to everyone for their kind messages today. We've tried to explain to my daughter what all the noise is about, and it was mostly fine until we had reporters knock on the door. I'm hoping this doesn't ruin her interest in Arsenal." People are trying their hardest to make Arsenal look bad, but as George Graham once said, "It's fine that people hate us, it's a part of our history." But can that team make history this season? Well, as Ian Wright says, we're the second youngest team in the league, and we're fighting off a monster in Man City. We're keeping this league alive. We are now in a proper title race. These are the tough moments of the season, and things could go either way. But would it be a failure if Arsenal weren't to win the league? Well, according to Roy Keane, if Arsenal end up finishing second, it would have been a terrible season. And then you have Gary Neville, who says no, even if Arsenal finish second, they've had an incredible season. Arsenal have gone beyond and above expectations. At the start of the year, it was about top 4. We are now, I believe, 1 win away from clinching Champions League football. I kind of get both sides of the perspectives, but I can also see this team's potential. Surely the second youngest team in the league is going to find a way to improve, especially with more signings in the summer. But let's forget about next season, let's forget about the summer, focus only on Southampton. That game is more massive than you believe. Get a first win in 3 games, and we go 7 points clear, with Man City playing in the FA Cup. This title race is going to be difficult, but who said winning your first title in 20 years was ever going to be easy? But that is the video there and there, so hopefully you guys have enjoyed. If you have, don't forget to smash a like and also subscribe to the channel if you are new. If you want to follow your boy on all of his social medias, then the links are down below in the description. But that was all of today's latest Arsenal news, and all the attention now turns to Southampton on Friday, a must-win gargantuan game. This team has bounced back time and time again this season, and it's time to do it again. I will see you next time, take care, in a bit.